Hey everybody, it's GomletX, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today I'll be playing another premiere draft of Universes Beyond the Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth. Without further ado, let's get into the draft. We've got a Fall of Caer Andros here, which is a good card if you can make it to 8 mana. 8 mana is quite a bit. I guess you could technically play a bunch of red burn spells to blow up your opponent's creatures and get a few Orc Armies out of this, but for the most part, you want to make it to that 8 mana sink, and that's kind of hard to do, especially in red where you tend to be playing much more aggressive decks, so I'm not a huge fan of that. I do like Grond if I'm already drafting an army deck with a lot of Amass cards, but I don't think it's a great place to start. I really like Smite the Deathless and Dunlin Crebain here. I think these are both premium commons that work excellently in any red deck and excellently in any black deck. I think black is just a little bit of a deeper color. It's an incredibly deep color, so I'll take Dunlin Crebain here. I think pretty much every black common is at least playable, so if I have the option of taking a great black card, pack one, pick one, I think I generally will for now, since it's a really easy color to end up playing at least a little bit of. In the future, it might become a little bit overdrafted because of how easy it is to draft right now, so maybe as the format progresses, I'll start leaning in a little more on other colors, but for now, happy to start off with a black card with Dunlin Crebain. Pack 1, pick 2, we've got a Gloin Dwarf Emissary, which is a fine card. Doesn't do a ton of extra stuff, but a 3-mana 3/3 doesn't need to do too much more to be good, and this gives you some treasure tokens, and you can even use those treasures to goad opposing creatures, so not bad at all. It's certainly pretty good. I feel like Ranger's Firebrand is probably the better card, though. 1 mana for 2 damage to any target is pretty efficient. It also gives you the value of having the Ring Tempt You. Sorcery speed is the one downside of the card, but outside of that, it's pretty great, so I think I'm going to go for the Ranger's Firebrand here. I'm sending a bit of a red message to the left, passing a red burn spell, and then passing a Gloin, but if we get a bunch of good red passed to us from the right, then we can get a bunch of red cards pack 1 and pack 3, which is fine. So pack 1, pick 3 now. Got a Bath Song in blue, which is a lot of card draw off of just one card. In total, you're going to draw 4 and discard 2, then you can shuffle whatever you want back into your library, which is pretty nice. Also, Protector of Gondor for a great white common. Spearmaster and Oliphant are solid red commons. Even Battlescarred Goblin is fine if you need 2 mana 2/2s. How good is Eowyn, Lady of Rohan? 3 mana 2/4, give one of your creatures first strike or vigilance every turn? That's pretty good. I mean, a 3 mana 2/4 is a large body. First strike and vigilance are both pretty relevant abilities for combat. She can even target herself if you need to. I think Eowyn looks pretty sweet. Might be a better uncommon to push on than the Bath Song here. And I think I will be a little open here and just keep taking the strongest card regardless of color. Pack 1, pick 4. Now we've got Dúnedain Rangers in green as quite likely the strongest card if we want to keep going down that path. If I want to just continue on with one of the colors I've taken so far, we've got Spearmaster is probably the best red card, although Warbeast is fine. Nothing really good in white, and nothing really good in black. These are all playable, but none of them are exciting. I'll just take the green card here. We'll stay open till we get past a super clear direction to go, I think. Pack 1, pick 5. We do get an Enraged Horn, which is a great tree folk. A 5 mana 4/5 trample. When it enters the battlefield, the ring tempts you. That's just really good value. Like a 4/5 trample is just a really big body in this format. So the extra ring tempting value of getting a ring bearer onto your board is just the icing on the cake there. I like this card a lot. I think this is my favorite card in the pack. They're all commons here, so there's not going to be anything super spicy, but I do like the horn. Outside of that, I think Isolation is pretty good. Swarming and the Oliphant are pretty good too, but I think Enraged Horn is the best. Pack 1, pick 6 now. Down to all the commons again. We've got Revive the Shire for late game value in green. Lothlorien Lookout, which is only really good if you're playing green-blue where you need to try to scry consistently, but it is pretty good in the green-blue deck. I don't think any of these off-color cards are very good. Warbeast is fine. Olog High Crusher is fine. Cavalier, Now for Wrath, Now for Ruin are pretty unexciting. I like Deceive the Messenger a lot in blue-red because you want cards that can make creatures that are instants or sorceries, but I don't think we're super likely to end up in blue-red. I'll just take the Lookout here. I don't know. Feels like a little bit of a mulligan of a pack there. There was nothing fantastic. Once again, nothing incredible. We could take a Great Hall of the Citadel, or some fixing to get other legends in here. Sam's Desperate Rescue is pretty decent as a value play. Nice and cheap. Just 1 mana to bring any creature back from your grave. Goes pretty well with good expendable creatures like Dunlin Crebain that you'd like to recast. Could also go for Quarrel's End, which is fine card draw. Yeah, kind of 1 card deep into every color. I don't really want a second Lookout here, so really could just take the Quarrel's End or the Sam's Desperate Rescue. I think those are both solid little value plays in their respective colors. There's a Protector of Gondor out of white. I think this is one of white's better commons. 4 mana for a 3/3 and a 1/1. Just a good amount of stats for the cost. Like that, a good amount. Yep, it is a good bit better than the Oleg High Crusher, I think. Or the Hithlane Knots. Well, I don't really want to take a blue card. I guess I could take the Knots just to get towards the Scry archetype, but I'll take the Protector of Gondor here. Pack 1, pick 9. Now there's an Ent's Fury. We are deeper into green than any other color, so I'm pretty happy to scoop up a green removal spell. Next best cards here. We're not really doing any Amass stuff. We could take Greyhaven's Navigator if I want to push towards the Elf Scry deck. Could take Wizard's Rockets for fixing, or Tale of Tenuvial, because we have a couple good white cards. Could go in that direction. But I'm happy to take Ent's Fury. Now, let's check out our mana curve. We only have 1 2-mana creature right now, and it's the 2-mana 1/3. So I think I'd be happy to take the Westfold Rider. Having a main deckable way to blow up artifacts and enchantments is nice. And it's just a 2-mana 3/1 for aggressive strategy. So I'll take the Rider over the Protector of Gondor. But it's kind of close. I think both of those are quite good. Now I can go ahead and take a Wizard's Rockets. I'm not the kind of player that loves to main deck Shower of Arrows. The card will be very good when you need it, but there are huge downsides where there will be games where your opponent plays nothing that it's going to target, and that's a pretty big downside. Alright, I've still got 3 pretty great black cards just because basically every black card is great, so could be green-white, could be green-black. More likely green-white than green-black. Don't think we're trying to be green-red, though. Well, this would be a pack that convinces me to go green-black over green-white, because Sauron the Necromancer looks like a pretty great card. 5 mana for a 4/4 menace is okay. Whenever it attacks, you get to exile a creature from your graveyard, create a tapped and attacking version of it that's a 3/3 black Wraith with menace, and then you exile it during your end step, unless Sauron is your ring bearer. So 5 mana for a 4/4 menace that attacks as a 4/4 and a 3/3 menace every now and then. Pretty strong, pretty aggressive card. Pretty cool reason to try to be in black instead of white. So I'll take Sauron the Necromancer here and go for it. Now we've got an Easterling Vanguard as a very good 2-drop creature. Gonna be very important for us to get tons of good 1, 2, and 3 mana creatures to trade off and fill our grave as quickly as possible for Sauron the Necromancer to be as strong as possible. So while I do think Torment of Gollum is pretty great and Ent's Fury is solid, I think Easterling Vanguard is going to be the pickup here. Just grab the very good 2-mana creature. I'd also take Eomer if I wanted to still push to red. That card is fantastic, but Easterling Vanguard is great too. Now we've got a Quick Beam Upstart Ent. This is a huge, huge finisher, giving 2 of your creatures +2/+2 trample till end of turn. This just comes down to the late game and kills your opponent on the spot. Love that card a lot. That being said, pretty sure green is going to be getting drafted much less than black based on what we've seen wheeling. And I do have 3 5-drop creatures already, so I'm a little high on top end stuff. And I really want to have a lot of 2s and 3s again for Sauron, so our graveyard is as full as possible, as quickly as possible. So I think I'm going to go for Gorebag over Quick Beam here, which might be wrong, but I want to load up on those and we might get the Quick Beam back. You know what? No, I'll still take the Quick Beam. Because if I take the Quick Beam and then nobody's drafting green, I could just get another one of these 5-mana Tree Folk back. And then we could have Quick Beam with a bunch of other Tree Folk to trigger the ability as well. We'd have all our 5-drops be these 5-mana 4/5s that let the ring tempt us. Yeah, I'm just going to take another one here. Could take Mirror Guardian to go with Sauron. But I actually think the Quick Beam, take a bunch of Tree Folk Path looks pretty fun and pretty strong as well, so I'll speculate towards that instead. And as we saw before, we're not going to get a lot of black cards. We've got a Sam's Desperate Escape, we've got a Banish from Adoris out of white, or a Chance Met Elves, which does work with our Lothlorien Lookout, but that's our only scry card right now. Maybe I need to put the white back in here and still have that option open. Since I did just take a bunch of good green cards this pack, we are still open and not being in black. I've got 4 white cards and 5 black cards. Take the Chance Met Elves here just for another green card because it'll 100% be in a color that we're playing. So it'll have probably a higher chance of making the cut. It's a Glorfindel, which is good with the Scry deck, but not much else. Another Sam's Desperate Rescue, could have a million copies of that. Took Reaper for filler 2-mana white creature. Yeah, I mean, not really into another Desperate Rescue, I think, here. So take another card in case we head in the white direction. I don't think I'm going hard enough on the Scry strategy to go for a Glorfindel deck here. Galadrim Bow's a fine combat trick. It's a bit slow. 3 mana is a lot for a combat trick. Another Escape from Orthanc for a cheap combat trick, or a Mordor Trebuchet if we do some Orc Army stuff in green-black. I'm not loving any of this. I'll take the Trebuchet here. Now a Galadrim Guide for another filler 4-mana creature seems fine by me. Alright, we got a Lash of the Balrog and a Dunlin Kerbane. Pick 9? Good grief, that is wild. I'm going to take the Kerbane here, but never mind on the white speculation. That is as decent a sign as any, in my opinion. That black is open enough, and now we get a Torment of Golem pick 10, which is another great card. Alright, good enough. Go in that direction here. Might have to run some filler nonsense like a Wizard's Rockets and a Mirror of Galadriel. Both pretty bad cards if you're just playing a 2-color deck, but what are you going to do? We kind of dawdled around with our colors a bit long there. Troll of Khazad-dûm is a good card. That's a finisher right there. Super hard to block this thing. Can't be blocked except by 3 creatures. The Desperate Rescues get better when we have land cyclers as well. And yeah, it has the flexible land cycling, which is nice. I'm liking that. What do we have here? Not much. I'm really low on cheap creatures. So Mordor Muster, while it doesn't work with our Sauron, does get us started putting creatures on the board on turn 2. So I think I want to take that over Bombadil's Song or Haunt of the Dead Marshes. We only need like 2 more playables, but we're hoping to find 6 or 7 more so we can cut some of our worst cards like Wizard's Rockets, Mirror of Galadriel, Chance Met Elves, Galadrim Guide. Alright, well this pack is just not a good pack for green and black players. There's a combat trick in green that I guess I'll probably take, seeing as I have a really high like creature count. Not very many non-creature things to do. I guess I've got a few of them, but we're not a great Mirkwood Bats deck, we're not a great Nasty End deck, and I don't really want to splash in a Mouth of Sauron to mill my opponent and hope they have a lot of instants and sorceries. Because we're definitely not milling ourselves with that, we're not going to have a lot of instants and sorceries. Pippin's Bravery it is, I think. I guess I could have taken that Great Hall to help splash as well. Alright, green-black rare. I don't think this one's very good, though. 3 mana for 4/2. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died under your control this turn, the ring tempts you. Whenever the ring tempts you, target opponent reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a land. Put it onto the battlefield tapped under your control, the rest in the graveyard. Seems okay. Doesn't seem incredible, but it's not like we're taking this over anything good. We're passing a Black Breath and a Limbus, which are both fine. So we'll take a Smeagol. Helpful guide. See if we can get some good death triggers to get the ring tempting us. Try to get a little bit of value ramp off that or something. Bunch of filler artifacts now. I could take a Morgul Knife Wound just because we don't have a lot of removal, which I guess I'll go for. Lash of the Balrog, I'll definitely take that over Torment of Golem because that'll be our first actually very solid removal spell. Another Dunlin Crebain. These things are everywhere. Got one Ents Fury, one Lash of the Balrog, one Morgul Knife Wound. Want another Ents Fury, or can I take another Crebain here? I'm gonna take another Crebain. I think triple Crebain is like super, super sweet. With Sauron and with double Sam's Desperate Rescue, because then we just chump with this super aggressively to reanimate it or pick it up with Sam's Desperate Rescue. Couple solid combat tricks, Shelob's Ambush and Orcish Medicine. I think the Ambush is the better one. Just for its efficiency, just 1 mana to do that is pretty nice. Now I can get rid of the Rockets in the Mirror. We're at 25 cards. We can get rid of one more. 16 creatures, but I have 2 Amass cards that are basically creatures. The Mordor Muster, the Torment of Golem. So we can cut another creature here. I think I'll cut the Ungol Patrol to put in another 5-drop Tree Folk. Just to have as many quick beam synergies as possible. That's just super fun. Plus I have a lot of ways to have the Ring tempt us now to have Sauron become our ring bearer, which is nice. Definitely take a Haunt of the Dead Marshes here. I already have some combat tricks. Bombadil Song is a great one, but I'd like to fill out some more 1-2 mana creatures here. And we have a ton of ways for the ring to tempt us, so we should be able to pretty consistently have legends to reanimate the Haunt of the Dead Marshes. It's a lot of Desperate Rescues. Still not quite main decking the Black Breath. It's really good against like red-white humans. It still does have bad matchups. Like if somebody tried to play that against us, it would not be very good. It would kill our Crebains, but that's just like fine with us because we like reanimating them anyway. All right, let's build ourselves a dorky green black pile. We've got 46 cards right now. More than anything, I think we just need to cut non-creatures. Well, 17 creatures. We have 17 creatures, a Torment of Golem, and a Mordor Muster, so sort of like 19 creatures here. So I could cut a couple of those. I think I'm not doing great on Scry, so I'll drop the Chance Med Elves. I still don't have a lot of 2-mana creatures, though, so I'm going to keep the Lothlorien Lookout even without many Scry synergies. See dropping one of these 5-mana Tree Folk. Still rather not. I do enjoy them quite a bit. How much Amass do we have for the Trebuchet? We could drop that. We've got 4 other 3-mana cards. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Amass cards for the Trebuchet. We have to Amass and we have to attack with the Orc Army. Amass isn't like the central mechanic of our deck or anything, but we've got a good amount of it. I think I'm going to drop down to just the Death Touch trick when it comes to combat tricks here. So let's get that out of the way immediately. See how many more cards we need to cut to see if we need to cut the Trebuchet. We still need to cut 3 more. I like Ents Fury and Lash of the Balrog a lot as removal. I'm not a very big fan of the Knife Wound. It's still fine. I think I'll cut the Knife Wound. A lot of Desperate Rescues. We could drop down to just 2 of those. Okay, and then one more cut means we cut like a Nasty End or a Mordor Trebuchet. Those are the options. I feel like Nasty End's probably pretty good in here. Decent amount of ways for the ring to tempt us to have one of our creatures become a ring bearer. And if we sacrifice like a legendary version of a Dunlin Crebain to this to draw 3, that's going to be a very good deal. Still, it plays really, really bad against counterspells. Because it's a cost of casting it to sack our creature. So we just sack our creature, get our entire spell countered, don't even draw anything. If our opponent has a counterspell, but there's not a lot of good counterspells. That's really just like a nightmare scenario when our opponent casts like a Remand or a Saruman's Trickery. Those are kind of the only 2 I can think of that would really show up all that often. And Remand, it's called Reprieve in this format. It's the white version. Return a spell to its owner's hand, draw a card. feel like I'm probably supposed to cut down on a 5-mana creature here. Yeah, I'll drop one of the big tree folks. They're fun, but I can't play that many gigantic endgame cards. So we're at 17 lands, we're at a full 40 card deck. We have 16 black cards, 8 green cards. We've got one more swamp than forests here. I don't need double black until turn 5. And I have a swamp cycler, so I think 9/8 looks pretty good to me. Yeah, call it a deck there. Alright, here's a look at today's deck list. It's kind of just a green-black mid-range pile. We've got a little bit of synergy that we're going for here. We have like 3 copies of the Dunlin Crebain with a really good enter the battlefield effect, and they're a super expendable creature. So with that, we can use some graveyard recursion and reanimation abilities like Sam's Desperate Rescue to bring them back from the graveyard to our hand and recast them later. We can also use Sauron to reanimate them as a 3/3 version of a Dunlin Crebain that gets its enter the battlefield effect, even if it gets exiled in the end step. So that's pretty sweet. We have a lot of Ring Tempts You going on to go with our Sauron to try to make Sauron the ring bearer here. And we've got some good interaction. We can pull out the best card out of our opponent's hand. We've got a couple removal spells with Ent's Fury and Lash of the Balrog. We've got a nice little Death Touch combat trick with the Ambush here. So pretty solid, pretty consistent looking deck overall. Biggest weakness is our lack of early game plays. We kind of only have 4 plays on turn 2 and earlier. Onto the Dead Marshes, Easterling Vanguard, Lothlorien Lookout, and Mordor Muster. That's the big flaw of this deck, but we make it to the late game. We've got some big, spicy stuff going on, and a solid deck overall, so see how it plays out for us. Hopefully not play against too many super aggressive decks as we head into the gameplay. Alright, I will keep the opening hand, trying to find a solid 2 or 3 mana card off of the Haunt of the Dead Marshes to keep us going in the early game. Nasty End. That's kind of interesting to me, because our Haunt is very expendable. It can come back quite frequently. I think I'll keep that. Plan on sacking the Haunt to draw 2. Westfold Rider. Well, I'll offer the trade first. Okay. I guess it might have been better to, like, block sack. Could also Ent's Fury the Rider. Yeah, that was just a poor line. I should have just been on block Nasty End, I think. East Farthing Farmer, yep. And that is going to really punish me for it, because I'll get in for an extra damage here. Could have stopped 4 damage and drawn the card instead of just dealing 1 to them. Alright, rough start. Not the right line whatsoever, but see if we can recover here. And a Dunlin Crebain next turn can certainly help do that. That'll make sure that we've got a creature on the board to make the Ring Bearer when we do cast the Desperate Rescue in the future. Plus it's 2 creatures off 1 card to help block right now. A lot of good things about drawing into a Crebain there. Our opponent is on red-white aggro. Cast into the fire, deal 1 to each of our creatures. Shire Sheriff, they could sack their token and exile our Orc Army forever. And so they shall. So cast into the fire, just a 1-for-1 removal spell, but we've taken so much damage so early. Things are looking quite bad for us. A 2/2 Orc Army is enough to trade into anything but the farmer. So I think Torment of Golem looks decent here. I don't actually have 2 swamps, so I can't return Crebain and play it with Rescue. Yeah, I think we are going to Torment of Golem here, make sure they don't have a powerful follow-up play, and have a trade for one of their attackers. So they have a Plains and 1 card off the top, and the card off the top's a really nice aggro card. Another East Farthing Farmer to buff up the Shire Sheriff here, so they can attack in with that and not be scared of it dying. So we take 5 down to 6. They are now out of cards playing off the top, but they were last turn as well and hit another aggro dork, so we are crossing our fingers they don't do that again. Desperate Rescue Crebain, I think, is the play. Shump a Farmer, trade into a Shire Sheriff. Yep. Send in the squad. Could try to ambush. Shalib's ambush with the Crebain next turn, but I'm going to 2 on board if I do this. Can't like Ent's Fury anything next turn. With just the Crebain. I think I kind of have to just tap out for the troll next turn, so I should probably get the chomp going here. Well, we ran our opponent out of cards, and they top decked 2 creatures in a row. Alright, Crebain is super good here. In Ent's Fury, I think we need to Ent's Fury one of the 2/3 since I can't kill those on blocks. But I would like to kill the Flamesmiths, seeing as I'm at 4 life and that pings me without having to get in. Alright, we're going to be on ambush on blocks here. Come on, miss a draw. Just like one missed draw here, hitting 1 land for our opponent would be so helpful to us. That is the polar opposite of a miss. It's another removal spell and a creature all in one. Jesus. Opponent could not be drawing better. Well, they probably could be. But opponent literally just doesn't miss. I'm gonna get my food token here, so I'm gonna kill the one that I can only kill by playing the trick. Get the food token. I don't have the mana to play the troll and eat the food. They hit 3 turns in a row here. If they hit a 4th turn in a row, we die. But if they miss this turn, if they hit a land here, we have the trade for Flamesmith, we have the block for the Shire Sheriff, then I eat the food next turn. We can stabilize if they miss. They don't just hit 4 in a row. Alright, I don't think they hit 4 in a row, which means we're in a great position to stabilize. Go up to 5 life. Leave 2 blockers up. Get draw a card, discard a card going, but it would just be to mill one right now, so I don't think that's necessary here. See if this resolves first, if they have anything. Okay, it does resolve. I am going to make the troll the ring bearer then. Which means I am going to mill myself 1 here, but it's fine. I'm going to eat the food here before they like draw into a burn spell to shoot me with in response to me trying to eat a food. Just got the 2 blockers for their 2 creatures. There's another big tree folk to have 2 blockers for their 2 creatures. I can kill them in 2 swings just by attacking with the troll, so I think I should just attack with the troll here to play it extra safe. Because next turn I can attack with the troll and the flyer and kill them, or any of the tramplers and kill them. Let's see. They're super dead on board next turn if they can't kill us here. Shadowfax might get there, probably not. Shadowfax land pass. They can triple block the troll, but then the tree folk get in. I need to make sure that they can't survive this, so that I don't just die on the crackback, but I'm fairly certain, right? They have to triple block, which means that the tree folk get in and they die. Or they block the tree folk, which means the troll gets in and they die. Yeah, we attack all. Alright, and they scoop them up. Things were looking really sketchy there. We got the Torment of Golem them down to just a land in hand, but then they hit thrice in a row, I think. Spell, spell, spell. Luckily though, since those spells clumped up, they then hit 2 lands in a row after that into Shadowfax, and that was enough for us to recover. Flip the game in our favor. Really nice stuff from the big dorks in the end game, flipping the game around. We're going to be 1-0 as we head into game 2. Here we are for game 2. Our opponent is on the play and we're not doing anything till turn 3, but I think we still keep the hand because our deck only has like 4 or 5 1 and 2 mana plays, so we're unlikely to draw more early game action than this. So we're crossing our fingers a little bit, but we've got a great turn 3, turn 4, great turn 6. If we do draw some early game cards, the hand should be pretty good, but if our opponent's pretty aggressive, they are on the play, and we don't start till turn 3, so they could definitely beat us down before we do too much. Alright, we drew a 2-drop. We have a 2-mana 1/3 now. That will be helpful. They are on black-white, and they don't have a turn 2 play. Let's drop our Lookout here. Oh, they do have a turn 2 play. It's a Reprieve. Alright. That is fine. Eowyn, Lady of Rohan. Very good card. 3 mana 2/4 Vigilance, or 3 mana 2/4 First Strike, all by herself. Drop a Smeagol. So during our end step, if one of our creatures died, then the ring tempts us, and whenever the ring tempts us, we get to mill our opponent till we get a land and put that onto our board. Pretty fancy. Pretty interesting. Errand Rider of Gondor, which will fully draw them a card thanks to Eowyn being a legend on their board. They are going to go for First Strike here so that we cannot trade. If we block, it's just a chump block, so we'll take the damage. Draw into a Sauron the Necromancer. That is super spicy. If we hit a 5th land, should I just play the Haunt of the Dead Marshes to scry into land 5 here? Or should I still play Torment of Golem? I feel like I should still probably play Torment of Golem. Alright, well, Battle of Bywater would be super, super bad for us later in the game, but Bitter Downfall and Claim the Precious are really bad for us right now. Their deck is absurd. Good lord. Yeah, no matter what I take, I'm going to have a nightmare this game. It's gonna be a very bad time, because we have like 2 really good creatures, which are Sauron and Quickbeam, which they can just spend 2 removal spells on, but they could also just board wipe both of them. They're going to draw another card here to get way ahead in card advantage. Yeah, this is not going to be a good game for us. Try my best, but that is a phenomenal hand. That is not what you want to see when you Torment of Golem somebody. Another Errand Rider of Gondor to draw another card. We do hit the 5th land to play the Sauron, but if I do, it's just going to get blown up. We get Smeagol going here by letting our Orc Army die, but then they just block with Eowyn, and we don't get anything done there. Just, is it worth it to sacrifice this to have the ring tempt us and get a land? Could be. It guarantees a quick beam next turn. Yeah, sure, I actually think that's probably okay. Sack our 2/2 to get a land here. I think I should have played Lothlorien Lookout pre-combat, because then I'm threatening a combat trick. Do they have 2 mana interaction that they just drew into right after we Torment of Golemed? No. Alright. Probably make the Lookout the Ring Bearer, since it's only got 1 power. It's the hardest to block. And we get a Plains right off the top. Gothmog, Morgul Lieutenant. Pass the turn. Desperate Rescue, but we have no creatures in our graveyard right now. That is hilarious. Quick Beam actually isn't very good right now. I guess the Lookout just trades into the Death Toucher. Anyway, they still have both their removal spells. Got a Sam's Desperate Rescue now, which is certainly valuable. I don't think I want to let them kill Smeagol. So if I Quick Beam, I'm just buffing the Lookout. So it trades into a 3-2 instead of a 1-1 Death Touch. But it still trades into a 1-1 Death Touch at that point. Yeah, I think it's probably like Sauron Haunt of the Dead Marshes then, which I guess we do post-combat. Troll of Khazad-dûm. That's not a bad card. I'll keep it. Alright, trade the Lookout off. Play a Sauron. Play a Haunt of the Dead Marshes. Scry to the top again, then make the Haunt the Ring Bearer. They can only blow up one of our creatures here, even though they have enough removal to kill both. And then we can Desperate Rescue whichever one they blow up. It's probably Sauron. I guess I could have made Sauron the Ring Bearer to make it even scarier, but I'm fairly certain Sauron's just going to get blown up regardless. They'll just Bitter Downfall Sauron before I can declare an attack with him anyway. So I think it's better to put it on the Haunt of the Dead Marshes than to just make one extremely massive Lightning Rod for removal. Yeah, because Sauron's already going to die. So there's the Claim the Precious on Sauron. Eowyn giving the Vigilance to a 3-2, and then they just pass the turn. We draw into the Troll of Khazad-dûm. They don't have a block for Haunt of the Dead Marshes now, which is nice. We're not going to have any creatures dying for Smeagol. Let's get our draw card, discard a card, I think. Just keep using that looting. Dunlin Kerbane, that's nice. Get another Orc Army for the Trebuchet to get that thing going. Actually like that quite a bit. I have to discard something here though, and I would have to discard a 6-drop. I guess I could discard Quick Beam, but I mean, I guess the Troll of Khazad-dûm just trades into 2 creatures because they block with a 3-3 and a couple 3-2s. But still, Troll into Sam's Desperate Rescue does feel like it could get there. Yeah, discard the Kerbane, play the Troll. Quick Beam on the Troll could be pretty big next turn. 8 power. If they block with Eowyn, then they'll have enough toughness. I can still only kill 2 creatures, but at least I get to kill Eowyn and Gothmog that way. This is if they cast something during their main phase rather than holding up the mana for their Bitter Downfall. If they hold up the mana for their Bitter Downfall, they're probably just going to shoot the Troll. Alright, they're just going to kill it right now so that we don't get a Smeagol trigger off of it. So we're out of removal spells that we know of. They could still have more removal. I think we hope they don't, and we Desperate Rescue Sauron. Get it on the board, ready to jam in. Gothmog is significantly better than the Errand Rider. I don't know why I'm trying to trade there. I guess because if I trade here, they could have their own Desperate Rescue on Gothmog, which would be bad for us, but I don't know. Down to 8. Another land. We'll draw a card and discard that. No great reason to Quick Beam here. No great reason to pre-combat Sauron. Find a Mordor Muster. I think that's better than the land. If I discard Quick Beam, I could Muster and Desperate Escape and Sauron. Not gonna do that though. I think it's just Desperate Escape Sauron. Denethor, incredibly bad, and a Kerbane. All gas, no brakes. Drawn to our own Kerbane. Quick Beam to buff the Sauron, and then we can reanimate a 3/3 version of a Dunlin Kerbane. To Amass here. Pretty sure we're dead on their next turn. But this is 4 blockers up. Got Mirkwood Bats plus Denethor, which is really nasty. There's the Mirkwood Bats. Whenever they create or sacrifice a token, we lose a life. So they could sack the Orc Army to make us lose a life, then Denethor also makes us lose a life, then they get a 1/1 and makes us lose a life. 3 damage here, and they gain 1. Yeah, Mirkwood Bats Denethor is just gonna combo us out of here. Don't know why they didn't attack with the Vigilant Kerbane, because I did not have a flying blocker. Next turn they can just sack like 3 things to Denethor, including one of them being a token, and then we're dead. Because they sack the human, we lose 2, go to 3. They sack 2 other creatures, we go to 1. End step, Denethor triggers, making another creature and we die. That's even if we had flying blockers, so we need to somehow just kill them here, which doesn't feel possible, but I guess it would have to do with drawing another card. Another Kerbane, I don't believe does it, but it's gonna be a big orc. I could have Haunted the Dead Marshes, draw and discard a card first, and then have Sauron trigger, so that if I draw a Tree Folk for Quick Beam, maybe we get there. I don't even think we can find lethal here, even if we do hit a Tree Folk, but maybe. Let's see. I'll have to choose my target before that thing resolves anyway. Well. Then I believe we're just dead. Hit a forest off the draw discard anyway. So right now they keep Mirkwood Bats, they keep Denethor, they keep their 1/1. They keep another creature, so that leaves them with enough stuff to kill us without even attacking next turn still. So just kill the higher power creature. But yeah, they can just kill us with Mirkwood Bats Denethor. They don't have to attack. We have enough creatures to block everything, but again, they don't need to attack. Yep. Here we are for game 3. Really good hand. Oh yeah, we curve out like nobody's business. This is wild. Get a Rangers. I need to draw another land for that, but I've got Scry every turn potentially, or just draw a card off Muster. I think I will go for the straight card draw here from Mordor Muster, because it also sets up the army to be a 3/3 on turn 3, which is very big. And we hit the land. This hand's looking ridiculous. Apologies for the chewing. I'm eating a Côte d'Or Boucher au lait. Best chocolate in the world. Oh. I don't love trading into this Guardian, but I don't think I play Smeagol right now. I guess I could. Yeah, Smeagol triggers whenever the ring tempts us, regardless of the reason the ring tempts us. So if I play the Rangers and I get some landfall triggers later, I can get extra lands. And again, even if I make the army a 3/3, it just trades for the Guardian. Oh, claim the precious from Smeagol? That's rude as hell. I'll block there. I'm going to have Legends on board all day long, so I'm not worried about putting a Haunt of the Dead Marshes in my grave. Oh, hello. Sam's Desperate Rescue Smeagol? That actually seems reasonable to me because as soon as we hit another land, we can play the Rangers and play that land and trigger the Smeagol. Butterbur Bree Innkeeper. They're going to have a lot of food. They're going to get to eat some foods for sure. Play Rangers now. I could tempt the ring. I could have the ring tempt us twice next turn. But I could also just play Kerbane and kill the Butterbur with the Lash of the Balrog, which is also pretty good, because then a creature dies. Yeah, then one of our creatures dies, so Smeagol has the ring tempt us in our end step. That's really nice. I like putting the Kerbane in the grave because of Sauron and Sam's Desperate Rescues. Make a ring-bearing army here. Hungo Patrol. Alright, ring-bearing army is too small for the patrol to block. So we can go with that. I can play the Tree Folk and make it a level 3. I don't need to make it a level 3 pre-combat. That doesn't change how combat's going to go here. Because no blocks are going to happen, and level 3 just makes it so if they block, they have to lose their creature. But they're already not going to, so that's fine. This could be a little greedy, but I'm going to hold this land for the Rangers. Oh, that's right, I've got Smeagol getting landfalls as well. I'm definitely going to hold this land then. Because I'm going to get lands out of their deck every time the ring tempts me. So I can use this to draw a card, discard a card, or I can use this to know that I have a landfall trigger for the Rangers. Bag and Porter. 4 mana, 4/4. It's bigger if they have legends. And a Haunt of the Dead Marshes. Draw another land. I already have a Ring Bearer, so playing the Rangers and getting landfall doesn't do anything. Let's just draw a card, discard a card again. I attack with this 4/5, it trades into a 1/1 because they block with a 4/5 and a 1/1. We gotta draw into some combat tricks or something to make things start going better for us. I mean, they're already going good, just... they're going well. This could be a little better. Ooh, Easterling Vanguard, not bad. Not bad. They're gonna go for the chump. And get a food off of it. And draw a card. I guess if I want to do everything with all my mana, then I need to play this land, so I will. So we can pick up the Haunt of the Dead Marshes and scry one. There's a Trebuchet to start flinging boulders at us if they get an Orc Army sending in. Orc Soldier works too. Alright, scry one, get a Dunlin Kerbane. Make this a 4/4 army. Then it just dies to the patrol. Not gonna be a good Ring Bearer anymore. But if it dies, Smeagol moves the Ring Bearer around. Something else that would be better, like a 1/3 would be really good. Actually, a Trampling Ring Bearer is really good on level 4. I think I'm gonna, like, chump attack with this Orc Army at this point. Just to move that Ring Bearer around. Get more lands off Smeagol. I guess I can't chump attack with it. They just block with the Trebuchet. Alright, well, we draw a card, discard a card. We can still do that every turn. I guess we kill the Trebuchet when they go for the block here, which is good. Yeah, this is fine. We don't need our Orc Army to die. They're just going to eat a bunch of food. We'll go for a Torment of Golem. And that probably gets our Orc Army to die next turn. But it also makes sure they don't have anything great in their hand. Give a creature indestructible. I think I need to get rid of the indestructibility so they can't just make an indestructible blocker. Well, the ring makes them sack the blocker, so that technically gets around the indestructible, but it would still be pretty annoying. I think probably more annoying than the 4/4. Strider, Ranger of the North. Send in the Bag End Porter as a 5/5. Okay. We know they don't have any tricks in their hand, so we might as well do this. Nasty End. Draw 3, sacking the Orc Army. Probably better than chump attacking into the patrol. Creature died, so Smeagol will trigger in the end step. We can have the Dundane Rangers trigger right here. Also got a Desperate Rescue for the big tree folk. I want to... I think I'll save the Desperate Rescue for later. Alright, they are going to scoop it up. We're about to have the ring tempt us twice, which means that we're going to mill them twice. We're going to get 2 more lands. Do some crazy stuff. And they are going to scoop them up, so we are 2-1 heading into game 4. Here we are for game 4, 2-1 so far. Really need to hit a black source. If we do, though, the hand is super, super good. And our opponent is on the play, so we're on the draw here. Get an extra draw step to find a swamp. Hope for the best. one final turn to hit this swamp or we're just going to lose, but our opponent curved out 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, and this hand has way more of our 2-mana plays than we're going to draw on average because we have so few early game plays. So honestly, statistically speaking, I think this hand has a better chance than most of our mulligans against an opponent that's going to curve out turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, and probably turn 4 as well. Alright, they're just going to buff the board, get extra damage in instead. So yeah, 1, 2, 3 curve is just nasty. Alright. I discard Sauron because it's double black. Hand's pretty good. Got basically 3 lands thanks to the troll. Get to roll things out starting turn 2. Opponent's on the mulligan to 5. They're on blue-black with a turn 2 Shire Scarecrow for some fixing. So opponent is on the mulligan to 4. We'll drop a Lothlorien Lookout. Pass the turn. No plays. Drop a Crebain and Scry. Keep that land. We can use our ambush to kill the Scarecrow if we want. Elrond. 3 mana, 3/2. They get to scry 1. If they do that twice in a turn, then they get to... what? Have the ring tempt them? Yeah, they get to pick a ring bearer. I'm gonna swamp cycle here. Get towards the 6 mana quick beam instead. And I still have the rescue for the troll if I need to do that. Attack in, get our combat trick. I will take land number 6 for quick beam. Ambush to kill the Elrond. 2 mana to eat the food or sack a creature depending on what they do. Uruk-hai Berserker, alright. Not a removal spell, so I'm not going to be nasty ending. I'll just eat the food. Okay. And then the flyer here. If I Desperate Rescue, I get to turn something into a ring bearer. But the Scarecrow blocks no matter what. Even if I turn something into a ring bearer. I guess it's better to do something with some of my mana rather than do nothing. I suppose if I made the Lookout the ring bearer, I could make sure they couldn't kill it at least. Then I could attack with Lookout to keep scrying. Another Uruk-hai Berserker? Alright. I don't think I need to sack to draw 3 here. I think I can just quick beam and get extra damage. But I guess I could quick beam the Lookout on the ground. I don't need the Crebain. Yeah, draw 3's probably fine. Get a Smeagol and a Rangers. 7 mana the turn after this, so for now we play Quick Beam. Turn after this we play Smeagol Rangers. Or Rangers then Smeagol to get maximum value. Draw 2, discard 1. That should dig them out of this here. trying to turn into a real game of Magic now. The Ring Bearer is going to be very good now, because they're down to just 3/2s on board. So we can make a 2/2 Ring Bearer, or make the Lookout the Ring Bearer. Make the Lookout the Ring Bearer, since the 2/2 can already trade into the Berserker, and that would be fine. So, Rangers, land, put that on the Lothlorien Lookout, then Smeagol, so if they do trade the 2/2 off, we have the Ring Tempt Us again. Draw a card, discard. Tormentive Golem, they're not going to have a lot of cards in hand. We're just going to run out everything they draw as quickly as possible. Ring Tempts Us. Choose the same Ring Bearer. Get a land. Witch King of Angmar. Spooky card. We can Ents Fury that. Force them to discard a card to tap it. If they attack with the Berserker, they're done on board. So by tapping down the Witch King of Angmar, I believe they'll be dead on board. Because they have one blocker. They block our 5/6, take, yeah, more than lethal. So we play Kerbane. Ents Fury with the army, so that we can still attack them with everybody else. Force them to discard a card. So the Witch King becomes tapped, and then we just attack with everybody and they're dead. Because they only block the 5/6. Alright. Dead on board. That was the polar opposite of the game we lost. We had some really bad mana issues, and then our next round opponent had some really bad mana issues, so not really particularly interesting games of Magic for those last 2 rounds, but at least we've made it to 3 wins where we are going to get at least 1,000 gems, so we won't be losing too much if we drop down to 3-3 here. But if we can win another game, that's where we'll be breaking even. Keep the hand here. It's another slower one. Opponent on the play again, as always. Not a good time for us. Alright. They don't have a turn 1 play, they don't have a turn 2 play. The Swarming of Moria on turn 3, which gives them a treasure token to be ready to do a lot of stuff the turn after this. Play a Kerbane here, we can run out a Lookout and Lash of the Balrog or Desperate Rescue next turn. They just pass the turn, do nothing here. That is very strange. Hold all their mana up? I don't know, Orc Army for Orc Army seems fine. Send everybody in. Maybe an instant speed combat trick to buff their army? Nope. An Easterling Vanguard here. Big enough blocker to kill their army. Good expendable card for our Lash the Balrog. What is there? Did he just keep a bunch of like big 5-mana plays and stuff? Yeah, Gothmog, Morgul Lieutenant is the play here. Make their army a 3/3 Death Toucher. Not in a great position to Ents Fury. I could Ents Fury trade Vanguard off into the army. Wouldn't be horrible. Could also trade the army into the army and then make Vanguard our Ring Bearer when it gets past Gothmog. Could also Lash of the Balrog away the army and try to have Ents Fury when we get our army up to 4 power and toughness. Which I could do by reanimating a Vanguard. for later. I could also just not worry about any of that right now and play a 3/4 and scry. It's the simplest thing to do. I'll just do that for now. They don't really have attacks into a 3/4. Don't want another swamp. I'm fine with more lands, but I don't want another swamp. Take a Mordor Muster, buff our army up. I could Mordor Muster and Lash of the Balrog and Ents Fury in one turn if I hit another land. And that would be a wild turn. Yeah, we can Lash the Oliphant away, sacking the Vanguard, play a Mordor Muster to make our army a 4/4, then Ents Fury to get another counter on it, killing the Gothmog. That would be so spicy. So let's Mordor Muster and see if that happens. We need the mana up for a Lash and an Ents Fury after this. Alright, any land. Do not hit a land, so we can't do it all this turn. But I can still Lash the Balrog, the Oliphant, setting up. For the Ents Fury next turn. Kept the green source up, so any land would let us Ents Fury here. I suppose I could Swamp Cycle and Desperate Rescue this turn, which is fine with me. Still have another Desperate Rescue for later. Probably should have done this pre-combat, but this is fine too. This is our first Ring Tempt, so it doesn't matter too much. Second one is the one that matters. We're choosing what we're going to draw a card and discard a card off of. Well, it did matter, because a 4/4 Ring Bear is pretty good against a 5/4. All they can do is trump with Gothmog, so they just don't have good blocks already. I don't have to Ents Fury here, so I can just play the Troll. Alright, it matters. Four Ring Bearer, let's go. We've got this pretty impossible to block Troll now, but we could Ents Fury and make even bigger. Breaking of the Fellowship, have the Troll kill the Orc Army, fair enough. Now the War Beast has been tempted by the ring. It is the Ring Bearer, and it will get past our Troll. Down to 14. Snarling Warg. Alright, they can't block the Troll of Khazad-dûm at all, so if I give it +2/+2, that's 9 damage on board, which doesn't quite get there. Is there anything I can Desperate Rescue for more damage immediately? No, none of these add to our damage instantaneously. And I still Ents Fury for the extra damage here. A Warg, I guess. It's fine. Set up the Desperate Rescue so I can draw a card, discard a card when I go to combat. Find a Haunt of the Dead Marshes, that's not a bad one. To discard. Drop the Galadream Guide. Scry 2, get rid of this land, keep a Tree Folk. That is going to be the game. We are 4 wins in. We're going to be breaking even here. 4 wins or better as we head into game number 7. Here we are for game 7 with a mono black hand. Snap Keep. Got a turn 1 play and a turn 3 Crebain. A little nasty end in the middle if things go weird. Our opponent's on the play with a turn 1 Plains. Now we even have a Mordor Muster on turn 2. Turn 2 Mordor Muster into turn 3 Crebain is always great. Scry this swamp away. We're looking for forests in case we draw into any green spells. I guess if I don't draw any green spells all game, then another swamp is not that bad, but if I do end up drawing green cards, it's going to be pretty bad to have a fourth swamp. Drop the muster. Our opponent is on white-black. Well, we draw a fourth swamp anyway. We've seen 5 swamps before 1 forest, which is pretty wild. We haven't seen any green cards yet, though, so it doesn't matter that much. Like, we're doing fine, and we'll hit the forest before we hit the green cards. Really weird draws this game, but I think we're fine. Trade our Orc Army into their Flyer and their Orc Army, that'd be fine. Or we just hit for 3, that's cool with us too. Turn 4 for our opponent. Hopefully not a Torment of Golem, that would be pretty annoying and pretty strong. But I guess there's nothing like incredible for them to take, but just buffing up the Orc Army, getting rid of a card would be decent. They're going to banish our Orc Army, fair enough. 3 mana to trade off into it. Send in their own army. Could go for the trade here since the Haunt can keep coming back later. Then I can Desperate Rescue and play Crebain next turn since I don't have much else to do. I think that's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. I wouldn't be putting the ring onto any of my creatures. I wouldn't have a ring bearer, so I think I'm not going to do it. If I would have an extra creature on board so that I could make a ring bearer and have a legendary out for the Haunt of the Dead Marshes, then I think that would be a pretty good trade, but we can't do that. None of these cards do too much right now. Just send in the Crebain. Well, I guess it doesn't matter what I hold up on blocks. Either of these can block the army and then use the ambush, so sent in the Haunt because they just definitely won't trade there. I mean, it'd be fine if they do trade because then we could just Desperate Rescue immediately, but looks like we're going to be on the ambush line here. Holding up a nasty end if things go wrong. Send in both. I'll go for it. And it works. Alright. Kill the army. They play land 5, play Shadow Summoning for a couple more 1/1 flyers. It's going to be a race, and we don't have much to race with, so not liking the look of things right now. Gain some life. Should probably just nasty end this Haunt and give up on having a legend on board. Yeah, probably should have just done that. Such an awkward hand. It was so weird that that was just the best line, just give up on the Haunt here. I could Ents Fury the Haunt onto the Reaper, but then they have a Ring Bearer. But if I do that, the Haunt goes to the grave. I can then Desperate Rescue it back to hand to make Crebain legendary. Well, but then it would already be back in hand anyway. So maybe the other way around, have the Ents Fury trade Crebain into the Reaper. Desperate Rescue to turn the Haunt into the Ring Bearer so I can nasty end it later, and then Crebain for now. Could also just Ents Fury a single flyer away. That would also be okay. I'm gonna just Ents Fury a flyer, and then be ready to get on blocks here. Uh-oh, do they have their own ambush? Something for 1 mana. It's probably one of the land cyclers, so they've got a 6-drop creature in hand. That would not be good for me. Yep, that's pretty bad. We have no good blocks this turn then. Alright, I gotta draw something. I've drawn Stone Cold nothing, pretty much. Oh my god. Land, land. Land. Sick. When we hit our small spells, it's just thing I wanted. Sam's Desperate Rescue does straight up nothing here. Opponent draws into a Denethor now. Things are looking pretty over. Well, it is what it is. 4-3 it'll be. First two losses felt pretty fair, just seeing some inherent flaws of the deck here. We don't have a lot of good early game action, because a lot of our cheap cards are cards to play later, like Sam's Desperate Rescues and stuff like that. So we really just have the 4 1 and 2 mana creatures. But like the Nasty End, the Desperate Rescues, the Ambush, stuff like that is much later game plays. So our first two losses were very much just like we got aggroed out a bit. Our deck is a bit slower to get going, but that third game was just some really abysmal draws, flooded out quite a bit, and didn't hit any of our big late game stuff, just hit all the dirtily tiny stuff that doesn't do anything. So rough final game, but I think 4-3 is a pretty respectable record for this deck. I don't think it was great or anything. I think I'm fine with a 4-3 run for this. Just would have liked to see a little bit of a better way to lose that last game at least. But again, first and second loss were super earned. We just got aggroed out with a slower deck. It happens. So we are going to be 4-3 for today's draft, but that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons for supporting this channel, as well as you for watching the videos. If you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. Other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.